All right, we're going to go and get started so that we can maximize the full hour that we have ahead of us. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Tempo Milwaukee's EWL nomination info session. Want to take a quick moment to thank our EWL supporting sponsors, Baird and Reinhardt. And we'll get right into it. Mart, if you want to go to the next slide. We'll take a moment to introduce ourselves. I'm Angie Emery. I am the nominations committee co-chair along with Fran, who will introduce herself in just a moment. I am a communications strategist at Northwestern Mutual and a mom to twin 3-year-old girls who are the real bosses in my life. And I joined EWL in 2017. And I think, Fran, let's share something that was surprising or unexpected that we've gotten from EWL since joining. So my unexpected, I expected to find, development and growth in my career. And what I have consistently found that was very unexpected out of what I consider to be a networking organization was support in my life outside of my career. I feel like I have found mentors and friends and support in so much more than my job. And that's a whole lot saying that I am actually in my current job thanks to a connection that I had through EWL and EWL programming. So it's helped me a lot there, but I just never expected to find strength and encouragement in my personal life and as a mom and as a whole person. So that was a very pleasant surprise for me. Fran, how about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Glad to have everybody here. I'm Fran Sutter. I work at GMR Marketing. I am a Vice President of Client Services there. I've been in EWL for the last 4 years, and one of the things that I'm thinking about is, why I joined EWL, and the reason was I have been in my career in one organization, and so what I was looking for most was just to learn from others and to get some experience and exposure to other industries, other thinking, things like that. The maybe unexpected part is I've always kind of had a fear of networking. It feels really inauthentic to me, or it did. And EWL has changed that completely. And Angie spoke about the different relationships and the support she's found. Like, it's because of the people that my entire perception of that has changed. And so we'll talk a lot about the different opportunities to network, but I will just say it dramatically changed how I view networking and mitigated the fear altogether.
I couldn't agree more. Awesome. All right, Mara, let's go to the next slide. Just a quick list of housekeeping items. For those of you who haven't been on any Zoom calls, you are muted as attendees and your video is disabled, so we can't hear or see you, but at the bottom of the screen, you will see options for a chat function as well as a place to put questions if you have them along the way. So please feel free to keep the conversation going in chat. Submit any questions that you might have along the way, and we've got some time at the end to go through questions and answers. Okay, so today, here's what we're going to cover. We're going to tell you a little bit more about what the Emerging Women Leaders Program is, how the nomination process works and the details of it, and then give you some next steps so that we're all ready when nominations open in just a few short days on September 21st. So you'll see these quotes sprinkled throughout. I'm not going to read them, but these are quotes from existing Emerging Women Leaders members about what they've experienced since joining EWL, and just some little great nuggets that we've gotten from members about the benefits of being a part of this incredible network. So I agree entirely with this. I could have written it myself. The caliber of women is incredible, and I think one of my top selling points, one of my key messages when I'm selling EWL is that I have yet to, in 3 years now, participate in programming, now all virtual calls. I've yet to participate in anything in EWL that I didn't walk away with some sort of value it brought to me, whether I met a new person, I learned something new, I connected to a different group, something of value has always been brought to me. And I think harkening back to Fran's comment about networking, that was always my personal beef with networking, was that I didn't know if it was going to be a valuable use of my time. And the caliber of these women really makes it valuable no matter what you're attending, whether it's a happy hour or a professional development session. Okay, so let's move on. What exactly is Tempo EWL? It is a program within the Tempo Milwaukee umbrella. Tempo Milwaukee serves women in executive leadership positions in Milwaukee. So they're a little bit further along on their career than we are. But really in 2015, that group of women, those Tempo members and the Tempo team acknowledged a gap in Milwaukee and saw that there were, you know, young up and coming leaders in the city who were these next generation future Tempo members, not getting the same kind of networking and programming that they were getting from Tempo Milwaukee. And as a result, they founded Tempo Milwaukee Emerging Women Leaders, born out of those same values and really with the vision of bringing the Tempo Milwaukee values to that next generation of leaders. So it was founded in 2015. It's supported by Tempo Milwaukee's incredibly strong legacy of just advancing professional women. EWL is composed of Milwaukee's rising stars, high achievers, locally recognized, community-minded, change makers, and inclusive up-and-coming leaders. So again, we are the future of Tempo Milwaukee membership, and we represent the next generation of leaders in our industries, in our functions, and in Milwaukee. So you can see our mission and our vision here. It's very supportive and inclusive of the strategy and the kind of vision that Tempo has, and is broadened to now this kind of next generation of leaders. So here's kind of just a little bit at a glance, some numbers and representation of the things that make up EWL. As you can see, we've had incredibly significant growth in the 5 years, which really just reiterates the fact that that gap that Tempo saw 5 years ago was very, very real, and there was a real need for this. We're over 230 members after our last class of nominations came through. 149 companies. I mean, these numbers, they speak for themselves. I don't need to read them all for you, but just a couple of highlights. You have access to a ton of benefits within this organization: professional development, community involvement, networking, social events. And I think one area that I just want to highlight and touch on that I think is really, really important, especially when we look at those kind of up and coming leaders, is mentoring. And there's some incredible opportunities for mentoring within this organization. You do have the option to tap into Tempo Milwaukee members. So again, those executive leaders, that truly the women who are leading the organizations within our community, you have an option for a one-on-one Tempo mentor. So you are matched with a member of Tempo Milwaukee in a 1-year commitment mentorship program. And you kind of get to drive what that looks like and how the relationship functions. But it's an incredible opportunity to be matched with just like some real powerhouses and learn from them, as well as many formal opportunities to learn from our incredible Tempo members. And then the other mentoring opportunity, which I think is really exciting, I think it's very unique to Tempo EWL, are our EWL Connect Circles. So they're 6 to 8 women in a circle. They're matched based on more of the logistic drivers, you know, where, when, and how you prefer to meet. But the groups come together, somehow magically that committee finds threads to weave for this circle. I've been a member of my circle since early 2018, and I was thinking about it when we were preparing for this presentation. Collectively, we have had 3 job changes, 1 marriage, and we've welcomed 4 babies into this world, which is a lot to happen in 2 years. And I think my circle would reiterate my sentiment that they have all been just incredibly integral to those life changes. And we get together now, not as just an EWL circle, but as truly friends and supporters. And it's just been an incredible network of peers to be able to bounce things off of when we're, you know, negotiating a new salary, learning how to mom. It's been an incredibly valuable network of women to tap into. And so that's a great additional opportunity for mentoring. Okay. So who are we? Oh, I'm sorry, Fran, kicking over to you.
Sure, no problem.
This is gonna keep rolling.
You can keep rolling if you like. No, I mean, this is all connected. This is a little bit about who we are, and it's really about our values and the values that make up all of the things that Angie just highlighted. And so that really starts with leadership. And, you know, as we said, this is really identifying you and what's inside of you and how leadership comes through in your life and in your work, and finding that connection with others that share that same passion for leadership. In mentoring, no better examples than what Angie just shared, but that one-to-one mentoring and the Connects groups, all of this about supporting other women and networking as a whole. So, being able to tap into this incredibly powerful and inspiring network of women in Milwaukee is really, cornerstone to what Tempo and EWL are. Okay, so how we deliver. These are just a few ways that we're uniquely delivering on those values that we just talked about of leadership, mentorship, and networking, and in the connections that we have with Tempo Milwaukee members. So things represented on this slide are not, really kind of show the breadth of connectivity between the organization as a whole. So things like the Tempo Milwaukee Foundation and those grants. Eligible both Tempo members as well as EWL members. We've talked a lot about the different mentoring opportunities, the programming. There are things that are going to be, specifically for EWL, but we're also open to, we are welcomed into a lot of the Tempo programming in addition. So it's sort of twice the benefit when you look at all of the different opportunities that come with membership. So here's a couple of quick facts. The most common title is director, manager, vice president. We share these things with you just to give you a context of, where you are in your career is one thing, but really it's more about those values that we shared. And we're committed to building a diverse culture. We want representation from a lot of different places. So if you're looking at this slide and going, business services, finance, nonprofit, that's really not the area I'm in. That's not the purpose of this, but it's to give you an idea of like the people you might meet through EWL. We would love to see even more diversity in the organizations, in the women themselves, in their passions, their community involvement. And so, these are some quick facts, but we look forward to seeing this even grow and diversify further. Another one of these great quotes with smiling faces, but kind of to wrap up this section, there are so many great opportunities. And, if you pursue membership, you'll hear us talk a lot about this in our sort of introductory session, is it is what you make of it. And it is kind of a choose your own adventure, for lack of a better way to say it, because you can engage in the ways that are going to be the most meaningful for you, and that might change over time. It might change as you advance in your career or things change in your life. So there's a lot, but you will get all of the energy you put into it. I think you would find that most people would say they do get that back in spades.
Awesome, thanks, Fran. So we're going to dive in a little bit to what exactly goes into this membership and what those expectations look like. And truly, there are no formal engagement expectations. We're not taking attendance to make sure that you're coming to a certain number of meetings. But as Fran mentioned, and I think you'll hear this over and over and over, you get what you put into it. So you'll see that many of our members are incredibly engaged. A large number of our members sit on the different committees that serve on our leadership committee and are really actively involved in shaping what the programming looks like. And I think that's truly the magic that you see in the output, that there is so much value because our members are incredibly engaged in helping to shape what we're talking about, what we're doing, where we're going, how we're moving this program forward. And so it really is member driven and the benefit of a highly engaged group. So you do get, for those $385 annual dues, you get the high caliber programming we're talking about, those mentoring opportunities, and some community involvement outreach. And again, as Fran said, I really think part of the beauty is you build the path that you want to take. But I think what's cool is now that we're 5 years in, you can kind of see and model after other people's paths what works and what might work for you. So some people sit on the committees and serve that way. Others participate really heavily in the events and are going to all of the different events. Some prefer to go a little bit more heavily involved in the community involvement outreach. So there's different paths to take. And I think, Fran, you nailed it when you said, it can change over time. The way you first engage might look different. But because there are so many different ways to get involved, that path can evolve with you and your career and what you really need to get out of the organization. We have an incredibly active Facebook group where members connect on a multitude of different topics, especially now that we're virtual, whether it's, posting an open job on your team, looking for a new nonprofit to get involved in, surviving homeschooling with children. There's just a multitude of connection going on in our Facebook group, and it's just another additional resource that's really grown over time in a way to connect even more so now with all of this. And I mentioned in the chat, but you're also introduced to that network of over 600 women. So there is a directory on our website that members are invited to use as an additional resource, and you can look up by company, by name, by a multitude of different information to find what you're looking for. But I mean, you'd be hard pressed to not find someone in that 600 group of women that you could reach out and connect with on a multitude of different topics. And again, the magic of Tempo and EWL, that group of women truly is there to support other women. So it's highly encouraged, and we've built a culture of expectation that someone will use that directory and look you up and reach out and try and connect with you. And so that's just another incredibly valuable piece of membership. So those being the expectations of members, here's kind of what we're looking for in the nomination process. And I will say that this slide in particular, we don't have many really firm qualifications because we are looking to build that diverse group from perspective and industry and ethnicity and location. We have kept the membership qualifications relatively, it's a short list, but this is a pretty firm list. So these are the things that we'll be looking at before nominations even go to a review committee. We ask that you have 6 years minimum of professional experience, which we define as full-time paid experience. And we will screen for that before we review a nomination. Demonstrate a commitment to the community. So what we're looking for here is any form of ongoing, consistent engagement with an organization and causes, ideally outside of your workplace. I know that's kind of a varying scale of depth, but we're looking for a cause near and dear to your heart beyond, the annual food pantry team volunteering events at work. We also look for support from someone in leadership at your place of employment. It doesn't necessarily have to be your direct manager. And as with all of these, if you have outlying cases, if you have a non-traditional path, if you are an entrepreneur, please, please, please talk to us. Don't think that you're automatically out because you have kind of a unique case. But ideally, someone in leadership who can speak to your demonstration of leadership within the organization. And also, we find that this is really helpful so that someone in your organization is aware that you're getting involved. It's a huge benefit to your employer as well to have employees involved in Tempo at EWL. It's great exposure, it's great development. So it's a little bit of just that mutual checkbox that they know that you're a part of it, and then also that they can speak to what you've done inside your organization. You'll need to have nomination support from either a Tempo Milwaukee or EWL member. And again, please don't let this limit you. If you don't know anyone in Tempo or EWL, but you're interested in joining, please reach out to one of us. You'll see our emails at the end of this. We're happy to connect you with someone in the organization who can kind of spend the next couple of weeks getting to know you and feel comfortable and confident nominating you when nominations open up. And we're also asking that you've attended at least one Tempo or EWL sponsored event before submitting your nomination. We really feel that it's important in order to make sure that we can continue to deliver on that value that that Karina and I have talked about. We really want to make sure that you've participated in events and gotten at least a little bit of a feel of what we do, how we do it, and why you want to be a member. So we ask that you've attended at least one. Again, if you haven't, don't worry. There's plenty of options to participate on calls. I am just incredibly proud of how well the Tempo team and leadership team have ramped up programming and content in this virtual world. So there are a number of opportunities for you to join some of our virtual programming before nominations opens. So that's what we're looking for. And we're looking for women that value a lot of those things Fran talked about: connecting with and inspiring other women leaders, sharing expertise to create that learning community, and collectively working to advance careers and successes. Again, I think this is one of those like little sprinkles of magic that Tempo EWL does so well. And it is a collaborative supportive environment where we want to see each other win and we want to see how we can help each other win. So if these things speak to you, this is probably a good place for you to be.
Okay, so what do you need to do? So there's a couple things that the nominees will be asked to do. And the first thing is to provide a short statement. So max 250 words, just really expressing why you'd like to be a member of the Emerging Women Leaders and what you think you'll get out of it and what you think you can contribute to it. So that'll be submitted to your nominator, who will submit that on your behalf, but that's something that you would be asked to put some thinking against and contribute. Angie mentioned this, the letter of support from your supervisor or someone in a position of leadership at your organization. And just again, reiterating, if you're an entrepreneur or in a different career path and you have a mentor or a former supervisor that would be willing to share that on your behalf, that would also be fantastic. And so those two things, along with your resume, will be shared with your nominator, and they will complete the online form. So your nominator is going to be asked to submit an online form. This is a very short and brief, essentially top line information of who the nominee is, what her organization is, then uploading the resume, as well as the letter of recommendation. So really capturing top line information. As Angie said, that'll then be screened for that key criteria, one of the main things being years of experience. And then that will pass along to our nominations committee. And the nominations committee will then reach out to the nominator for a brief conversation. And we'll just want to have a little bit more versus having someone input all of this into a website form. We felt like in the spirit of networking and in the spirit of getting to know one another, we felt like this was another really great opportunity to actually have a quick conversation. So not asking for a massive time commitment from that nominator, but just that someone from the nomination committee will reach out. They will take the lead on scheduling that with you, and then have that conversation, really looking at these key questions. The reasons for nominating, how you've seen the nominee demonstrate that leadership, and how you feel that they will express their commitment to the Tempo EWL values. So that is really it for the process. We'll do most of the work for you. Nominators, you just need to have that connection with your nominee, and nominees, your nominator, being able to empower them and give them all the information that really sets you up for success in those conversations. Again, I think, we can move on. I think we've kind of hit home that idea of the community and the benefits quite enough. So we'll keep on to the business end of this, and Angie will talk about the process.
Awesome. So as you may have seen, the formal nomination window will open September 21st, which just means the form is available online and can be submitted at that point. It certainly doesn't mean you need to wait until then to get things rolling, but that's when we'll formally open, and they'll be open for a couple of weeks until October 2nd. And we'll just start collecting the information and nominations from your nominators. Then we'll take most of October to review, as Fran mentioned. For any existing AWL members on the call that are interested in nominating someone this year, slightly different. We'll be having phone calls with nominators to learn more about the candidates. So that's new this year. And we'll kind of increase that evaluation time a little bit because we really want to get to know the the nominees, and hear from those nominators. So we'll be spending October doing that. And then at the end of October, we'll have decisions made. You'll be informed of the decisions, and we'll have a new member. Information will be sent in November, and we'll have an orientation then for all new members at some point in November, where you'll learn more about what next steps are and how to get involved with all of those different things that we've just very quickly thrown your way. So that's kind of what's next. So what you can do in the meantime, sort of our next steps, is connect with your nominator or nominee. Again, if you have someone, reach out to them. EWL members, if you have been thinking of someone that you should bring into this organization, now's the time to reach out, gauge their interest. Make sure that you're in close contact so that when that narrow window opens, you're ready to roll. And also stay tuned for any event opportunities. So again, nominators, please be sending information about events, upcoming opportunities to get engaged to your nominees so that they can attend some events and get a feel for what we're working with, especially, again, now more than ever, understanding how we're pivoting to this virtual world. Again, I'm incredibly proud, and I think we've done a really good job of continuing to deliver that high caliber programming in this crazy world, but I'd love for you to get a chance to see that for yourself before you commit to membership. You can start preparing by updating your resume, begin working on that written statement, getting those letters of support from your leadership, your manager, your organization, and be thinking through what kind of information you need to provide your nominator that they may not know, any details that they can speak to in our phone calls. And then again, September 21st, the formal window will open. It will be available on the website, and your nominator will submit the materials. So once you've gathered your things and handed them to your nominator, they will take care of the official submitting of the materials. Okay, so that was a ton of information thrown at you really quickly. I see some questions in the chat and some in the Q&A, but now is your chance to hammer us with questions. Anything that we didn't cover, anything you need more details on, please let's do that now and cover so that the benefit of the group can hear them as well. Here's our information, our emails. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, I want to reiterate that those qualifications and criteria are meant to help guide us towards our membership, but nothing is entirely black and white. I would say the only super black and white one is a minimum of 6 years of experience. But please reach out if you have questions. If you're feeling unsure, you can ask now. If you're uncomfortable in front of the group, send us an email. We're happy to help. Those websites on the bottom are, again, all of this information lives there as well. And that's where you'll be able to find nominators, where you'll be able to find the window, the formal submission when the window opens. So let's get into, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A box. So the first one being, now that you've had to transition to virtual programming, are you still finding benefit in a networking organization? Are there still built-in opportunities for quality interaction? And I would say I actually have found, from a programming perspective, I'm able to attend more now than I ever was before, given that I can quickly hop on over lunch and there's not, you know, the worry of travel or competing meetings. So I think we've increased the quantity of programming without diminishing the quality. There's a number of different styles of programming that we've presented. So some are still that kind of one-way conversation with what I would say is more like a keynote speaker. But a lot of the programming has involved breakout sessions, smaller rooms, the ability to kind of hear from a speaker and then get into a smaller room with, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 members and kind of talk through it. Again, I would highlight that the Facebook group has been bumping since we moved virtual, because it's a way for us to continue to connect with each other when we're not running into each other. And, you know, as things evolve, I think we're constantly taking a check. The Tempo team has been awesome at just kind of doing a pulse check to see if there's interest in, you know, outdoor gatherings, small gatherings, how are we feeling, so that when we're ready to start reintroducing, we've got a good gauge from the membership. Fran, Marit, anything I'm missing?
That's good.
Awesome.
Just getting a variety of a few questions. I'll take a couple easy ones off the top. Sure. Okay. There was a question in here around if we don't know someone personally within the group, should you reach out to one of us? Yes, please do. And we will we'll connect you with either one of us or perhaps someone from our leadership committee or our engagement committee, and give that opportunity for you to learn more about the organization and for our member to learn about you and really kind of share what the organization's about. So yes, please reach out to one of us.
Awesome. There's one in the Q&A box. How lengthy does the letter of support need to be? My supervisor is a man who likely doesn't know much about Tempo. So what items should I ask them to address in the letter? I'm certain you're not alone on that one. What we're really looking for there is, what do we need to know beyond your resume? So we'll see things like your role, the progression of your career, but we really want to get a better understanding of how have you demonstrated leadership within your organization. And it doesn't always have to be something that would be reflected in your job description or your roles and responsibilities of your day-to-day. So thinking outside of that kind of framework, are you involved in different committees, ERGs? Are you leading projects that aren't necessarily under your responsibility? Just any kind of demonstration of leadership obviously can be inside your role as well. So I would really have that letter of support focus on how you've demonstrated leadership. And you can always direct them to the Tempo website or find some copy from that site, those links that we had that we'll share with you, that can help give them an idea of what we're looking for that might help shape their letter. It doesn't have to be a super lengthy letter. We're not looking for a dissertation, just some examples of leadership and their support and endorsement for you participating in the program. I'll hit another one here. If a current, oh, sorry, go ahead, Fran.
Yeah, I know there's another question that came a little bit earlier. Do you have to be an EWL member for a certain length of time before becoming a nominator? Answer is no. We are now taking nominations twice a year, so you might have been a new member just at the beginning of this year, but nothing is prohibiting you from being a nominator and bringing new women into the organization.
Awesome. If a current Tempo member nominates someone for Tempo, but the Tempo committee doesn't feel she's ready, will she be considered for EWL? Absolutely. So Fran and I are pretty closely connected to the mirror committee on the Tempo side. And we will obviously, if someone, vice versa too, if someone is being nominated for Tempo EWL, but would really fit the criteria of Tempo, we'll kind of volley back and forth if we feel like they might be a better fit. And obviously working with the nominator and the nominee to make sure that that's something they would be interested in. But certainly we keep in close contact. And if there's a fit for the other organization, we'll let each other know. Does Tempo exist in other cities or states? Yes, Mart, I'm gonna call you in on this one. I think it's Madison, Waukesha, Racine.
Just gonna pop in here, the
hey,
magic
Mart.
of virtual events. So, hi everyone, I'm Mart. I am Director of Membership and Programs at Tempo and really oversee the EWL program. So thanks for joining us. The question again was, does Tempo exist in other cities and states? The answer is yes, in other cities. So there is a Tempo Waukesha, a Tempo Racine, a Tempo Kenosha, and a Tempo Madison. So we all operate on our own budget, staff, but our missions are all related to advancing women leaders. Our membership criteria are each a little bit different, but we are definitely always in communication about what the other organizations are doing. I would say Tempo is definitely the largest. We are the most fully staffed, but they're all great organizations for women in those other regions.
Awesome. I'm going to combine two of them here. Is there benefits to submitting more than one letter of support, and can you use a former employer as a letter of support? So if you feel really strongly, especially if you feel like you have a great endorsement from, like, say, your community involvement or another area that, back to the question before, your manager may not be aware of or might not be able to answer, by all means, we're not going to say you have to pick one person to endorse you. You can certainly include more letters if you feel that they would bring benefit to your nomination. And a former employer letter, again, we really see value in making sure that your current employer is at least aware of your participation and is in support of your participation when we're eventually allowed to go back to a live world. So I'll just take a moment and imagine how wonderful it's going to be. There will be some sort of buy-in that your manager or employer will need in order for you to pop out during the day and participate. So we just like them to know, but by all means, again, if your strongest endorsement is going to come from a previous employer, manager, mentor, be sure to include that, because we'd love to hear from them as well if they know you better or have a stronger understanding of what you're looking for here.
I'm going to jump in with this next one that came in.
Yeah.
So it's a great question, super timely. So it seems that Tempo is targeted for a certain type of woman. Can you comment on how EWL is helping influence broader D&I initiatives for Tempo in seeking different perspectives among their own members? So diversity inclusion, obviously a huge initiative for every organization right now. It's been part of Tempo's strategic plan for years and years. I would say we have doubled down this summer based on events happening around our country, our world. And part of that is acknowledging that Tempo membership is 88% white women. We're not proud of that. EWL is 85% white women, so a little bit better. At the same time, diversity is not just what race you are, it's diversity is different. So a couple of things that we're doing is being intentional about outreach to get different women involved in Tempo or EWL. We've started up a new programming initiative called Tempo Real Talks, where we are reading chapter by chapter White Fragility. And we have a super, super robust D&I committee, bench strength of Tempo members and EWL members led by Erica Joy Daniels at Advocate Aurora Health. So this is something that's not going away. It's not something we'll ever be done with, but I think acknowledging that we have work to do, that we're not perfect, that we're all in this together is a step. So I hope that answered the question. The second part of it is, are there sponsorship opportunities for women who might not be able to afford the dues? So right now we don't have a specific, sponsorship program in place, but we do offer flexibility on dues if you need to pay monthly, quarterly, if you need to defer. We would never want the $385 to deter somebody from applying and being part of our awesome community.
Thanks, Marit.
Thanks.
Okay, a couple others have come in. If your supervisor is also a Tempo member, can they submit both the letter of support and the nomination? I would say it would still be beneficial to try and find a different letter of support then if your nominator is also your manager. So again, community involvement, a mentor, somebody else who can help kind of speak to what your Tempo member manager will be doing in their nomination. So again, there's not a limit on letters of endorsement. So I would say it's probably beneficial to try and find somebody else too. Do you limit how many new members you accept into EWL within each nomination period? Fran, you want to take that one?
Sure. Another easy one. I'm just the easy ones.
Get in your softballs.
Yeah, thanks for that. No, there is no limit. The nominations committee, along with several members of Tempo, as well as some of our EWL executive and leadership committee, will be reviewing all of the nominations. Each one is given the same consideration and thought, and we have no limit. If we need more reviewers, we'll bring in more reviewers. We would love to see as many applicants and as many people joining the organization as we can.
Yeah, I think we've all agreed that it's a wonderful problem to have to solve if we get more members than we expected. Again, it just speaks to that need for the program, and we're really thrilled to have that problem. I do just really quickly want to answer, it was done in the chat, but I want to make sure that everyone sees it. Someone had asked, how frequently are meetings and are they continuing to present virtually? And Mara, you answered this one, but we are 100% virtual through 2020 and likely into part of 2021. Again, we're doing that pulse check, but right now the horizon, the forecast says continue virtual. We have EWL specific virtual events about once a month, and then twice a month Tempo Talks webinars that EWL members can attend for free. So there's a pretty good mix of programming. It kind of spans different timings so that you are more likely to be able to meet and join the webinars. And then again, that's just the full group programming. If you join a Connect Circle, a one-to-one mentor, those are additional opportunities for touch points with the group. I think we've answered everything that came in. Oh, keep us on our toes.
What do costs look like outside the annual membership fee? When you're meeting in person, are there fees for these programs as well? Mara will have to keep me honest here, but I would say a majority, there are no additional costs. Mara, actually, I'm going to kick it to you. Sure. I failed my one time.
I like the effort. I like the attempt, Fran.
You're correct. So the only additional fees are really our signature fundraising events that we have for Tempo Milwaukee. So our leadership event, which maybe a sneak peek came out at 12 o'clock. So check social media. Since those are major fundraisers for our organization, that is an additional cost. It's optional to attend. Our mentor awards in February is an additional cost. and then our golf outing, knowing that not everyone is a golfer and would want that included in dues. That is additional, but pretty much everything else, obviously these past 6 months, the next year will be a little bit different with what the normal benefits package looks like. But as Angie and Fran have mentioned, I would argue there's even more programming, even more options in this virtual world. So we're all doing our best and listening to members' feedback along the way and pivoting.
Pivot.
Word of
The
2020.
year. Louise asked a really great question. Are professional development sessions still held? How frequently? And can you explain how those sessions run? This one is near and dear to my heart. The Professional Development Day was my first exposure to EWL, and I am on the planning committee, and it is just an event that is so near and dear to my heart. And it was a little heartbreaking when we realized we were going to have to pivot from our full day of professional development and find a different way to do it. But again, I'll parrot that I am so proud of that committee for finding a way to make it work in this world. So we rolled out what we're calling a deconstructed professional development day and are holding sessions, smaller sessions. We had a week where we did 3 different sessions. We're continuing to find opportunities to tap into some of our incredible members of Tempo and EWL, to have speakers on the various professional development issues that are top of mind for most of our women. And again, tapping into the Tempo network, the Tempo programming. So we've deconstructed the day. We're still holding the sessions. Those were one of the really good opportunities where we had kind of a speaker talk and then breakout sessions. So much like the Professional Development Day, if you've been to it in the past, it had those elements of a speaker, of learning, of development, and also of an opportunity to connect with other members or peers on the topics covered. So we're still holding them. It looks a little different. We'll continue to roll out professional development programming through 2020 and into 2021 until we can get back in person.
Yep. And then I would just add, I'll put a link in the chat, but Tempo Milwaukee has a series called Professional Development Series, which we're now working into our Friday twice a month webinars. So trying to combine programming as much as we can, knowing that people are a little bit zoomed out, got a lot of webinars on their calendar, but those are 5 times a year. And when we say professional development series, we mean like workshop style, digging into a topic, having some interaction, versus programming where you might just hear from a keynote speaker or hear from a panel. So I'll drop a link in the chat with more information about that. And I see we got one more question in that I'm happy to answer, is what are the annual fees for Tempo? So we mentioned EWL is $385. Tempo Milwaukee is $550 with a different set of benefits.
I'll also just add in terms of programming, again, leaning on the word of the year for 2020 of pivot. We are, as a leadership committee, really committed to making sure that we're listening carefully to our members and understanding that the needs have evolved from what we were all feeling back in March to now. And so whether it's by survey, discussion in the Facebook group, just checking in with our Connect Circle or other opportunities to engage with members, making sure that our programming is relevant, it's what we need, it's what we want to talk about, and finding other ways to connect. So an example of that is a new Facebook subgroup, I guess I'll call it, has spun up for working moms who are navigating this brand new world this fall of homeschooling children or virtual school or taking your kids to school, whatever your world looks like. And we're really making sure that we're supporting those moms of kids who are entering this new world altogether. So we're staying really closely in tune with what our members need and developing programming and pivoting in ways that we need to in order to match the need. So not, you know, it's brand new for all of us, and we're finding ways to bring support and resources in any way that we can to things that I think last year, if you would have asked us, probably wouldn't have been things we were focused on, as with everyone. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box. I think we've covered them all. If anybody has, oh gosh, you guys, yes, I love this, just when we think we're done. Yes, there will be a link to rewatch. And if you have any friends or nominators, if you have a nominee who wasn't able to make it, Art, I assume it'll live on that EWL link that was included. So you can rewatch, you can find, again, a lot of this content will also live on that link. So if you just need to go back and reference something that was mentioned, and I will say it again and again and again, if you have questions, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to Fran, myself, Marit. We are here to help. If nominators have questions during the nomination period, this is what we're here for. As Fran mentioned, we're now doing nominations 2 times a year, so this is our time to shine. Lean on us. We're here for you. We want to make this as smooth and painless as possible, and make sure that you feel informed all along the way. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Pause for any additional straggling questions.
Last chance.
Last chance, right? Speak now. Awesome. Okay, well, I hope very much so that the passion that I have for the organization came through. Fran, I heard it from you. Thank you, Marit, for being our support in the questions that we couldn't answer. Marit is our forever resource for everything. This is an incredible group of women. It has, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it has changed my professional life. Literally, I'm in a different job because of it, but also I have grown professionally, but it has without a doubt changed my personal life. I wouldn't be where I am without the women in this group. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you are interested, get involved. And when you do, get engaged, because this group will pay you back tenfold, 100 times over. And you'll have so many more opportunities to see me cry about how much I love the group. So,
Angie is not a passionate person at all.
Not at all. It's very hard for you to tell when I'm excited about things.
I'm so glad this is recorded. And watch it over and over again.
Thank you. Thank you for taking your time today. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Jen,
Thanks,
Fran,
everyone.
Marit, anything? No? Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.